10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're here. We're live.
Apparently.
Who's this bloke, Marty?
That's a guest of mine, Justin. So this is Conal Tracy. We will be interviewing Conal later on in the show. He's the inspiration and the man behind a brand new distillery down in Enniskillen.
I was going to leave them hanging, but I forgot I've already typed it in and put it on the thing, so it doesn't work. We can't leave them in suspense.
No.
So make sure you say hello if you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, check in, comment, like, and share. We'll be able to see where you are, what you're saying, what you're thinking. You can put your questions to Conal later on the show tonight as well. And basically that's it. So stick around. Conal, we'll be speaking to you in about 15 minutes' time then.
Look forward to it, guys.
Stay there for me.
Super.
Now, let me see. What have you been doing this week then, Marty?
Justin, I went vegan for my dinner tonight. I went vegan. Now, I know this is not something that you agree with on a sort of ethical basis. You don't agree with vegan. I ate tofu. Now, I know this greatly upsets you. And if you ever gain power, you'll probably ban it. But
hold on a minute here. What do I say? What do I say? Conal, would you eat tofu?
Well, I had tofu last night.
I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties. Oh boy, couldn't resist that. Listen. If you want to get in touch with the show tonight, just comment, like, and share. Type it in the comments thing. Hit send. We'll see it and put it on screen. We'll be talking to Conal Tracy from ScottsIrish Distillery very, very shortly
later on
tonight. Yeah.
So that was what I've been at today. The weather's been a bit funny down here. It was sunny and bright, and then really wet and sort of awful for a while.
Okay, right.
But, still got out, and I mean, got out and about. So yeah.
Okay. Wonderful stuff. Well,
wonderful stuff.
Tullamore Dew, Redbreast, and a Guinness.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to that. We'll get to that in a wee bit. Now, we'll do the news, Justin. Now, figures released this week show that figures released by the Irish Whiskey Association and the Distilled Spirits Council of the US, or DISCUS as they're known, have shown that Irish whiskey sales last year topped $1.1 billion. Now, that's an incredible amount of money.
That's a lot of dosh. That's a lot of dosh.
Yes. Now, remember, there's more and more distilleries coming and more product coming, so it'll only go up. But since 2002, the super premium category of Irish whiskey has grown by 8,728%. Yeah, in less than 20 years.
Wow.
That's how much it's grown. I mean, it's absolutely staggering, really. Chris Swanger from Discus, the Distilled Spirits Council, described the growth as phenomenal. I don't think there's any argument with that. But the other way, 270,000 casks made their way from the US over to Ireland.
Wow.
To come over. Now, I know there's lots of people, environmentalists and stuff, about cutting down trees and all that. This is a carbon capture way of doing things. The best way of capturing carbon is grow trees, get them to a certain point, cut them down, and then plant new trees. Using wood is actually extremely environmentally friendly. So that's the fact that this is a natural product being used in a natural way. It's just a fabulous thing. However, Chris Swanger of Discus highlighted. Remember last week we talked about the tariffs being suspended for 3 months.
We did certainly indeed, and there was a picture of the deal between America and the UK about the tariffs being axed. Yeah.
Well, the EU still haven't lifted the tariffs on whiskey, with the prospect of them being put up, that's not the US, Justin. That guy's Indian. You're a bit too far in front of yourself.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. Yes. Now, the tariffs are supposed to be going from 25% to 50% in the summer. So if that isn't resolved, I mean, the sales of American bourbons and stuff is just going to get absolutely hammered. So I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, because you jumped a bit forward there,
it looks like the same picture. Look at that. How am I supposed to tell the difference between those pictures? There's
one of the guys is Indian, and the other one's Joe Biden.
She's in the same dress. You think she would have a budget for a different dress?
Yeah, you would have thought so. To be fair, because she's on a business trip, Justin. She's traveling light.
All right, maybe so. I thought she had one of those big Air Force jets, and she just waltzed off.
No, it's not the president, Justin. It's the UK. She probably got a Ryanair flight.
Okay.
And she wasn't allowed to take any luggage with her. No. So now this is the UK's in trade talks with India to try and get free trade. Now, I've talked about this before. India charges 150% tax on imported spirits.
Yes.
Now, if they can get that tax eased, then wow, the potential for Scotch whisky in India is just unbelievable. But that's my point. When you read all of the literature about it, it keeps mentioning Scotch whisky. Now, if it's only Scotch whisky, then that's not great. What about the English distilleries, Bushmills, Dunvilles, the likes of the ScottsIrish whisky that's coming, the distillery that's going to be coming online, the gin producers? If it's only Scotch, then I don't think that's really all that fair.
Well, I think there's bound to be a way around that, and a way that you could actually sort of stick a Scottish flag on it, right? And never let on. Nobody will ever know.
But why should they? Why should we keep talking about whiskey having this terroir that has to have that sort of location and place. So I hope this isn't just them saying they want Scotch whiskies. I mean, that should be Irish poachings that are made in Northern Ireland and so on and so forth. There's plenty of room for stuff there. Now, to give you an idea how much this is supposed to be worth, they're talking that this could be worth £100 billion trade deal.
Whoa, that's a lot of do-re-mi, isn't it?
It's an awful lot of do-re-mi, a huge amount.
That's actually 100 times what the first story was about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. No, it's actually more than 100 times, because that's in pounds, and the other one was in dollars. So we use real money and proper hard currency as opposed to dollars.
Don't be saying that. I seen people from Texas on here, and they all have guns. And somebody else said good morning, so they must be in the States as well.
Okay. Zip. It's usually me telling you to zip it, not the other way around. Now, a couple of actually big releases this week. There was much excitement about the release of Redbreast 10-year-old. Now, it came. There's some talk about this for a while, but it dropped this week. 10-year-old traditional pot still in Oloroso sherry, bourbon casks, triple distilled. There's 3 different distillates aged between 10 and 15 years in it. It's to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Redbreast being reintroduced. Now, it's bottled at 51.9%, and it has a run of around 7,000 bottles. We
can hardly keep up with these new releases.
They're just happening all the time, but it was nice. I got myself, it was €100 a bottle, and I was able to log on, didn't have to wait on the site crashing, didn't have to try and scramble like trying to get onto it. Remember, it used to give you the Ryanair riot trying to get on to get a good seat.
Yes.
None of that. The website stayed stable all day. It sold out. The 7,000 bottles went, but they had a nice enough, big enough release that meant that anybody that really wanted a bottle was going to get it. So it'll probably not end up being flipped. So it's It's limited to about 7,000 bottles, roughly.
That's good news for the fans, really. Then, isn't it?
It really, well, it is, because people who want to drink these, it's good. Now, if people are, we talked last week to Anthony, if people have bought these as a little investment, or they maybe they are going to flip them, I don't know. You're probably not going to make a huge amount from it, because there's big run of it. So yeah, Billy Layton described it on the tasting notes that it had the nose of honeycomb cider, dried tobacco leaf, and on the tongue it marzipan and figs. So if Billy says it's like that, then that's what it'll be like.
Lovely stuff.
Another release coming this week. Teeling. This is a distillery exclusive, but you can buy it online, because obviously we're not allowed to travel at the minute, but you can buy it online. And this is €60. It's a Teeling finished in virgin Irish oak.
Everybody's doing this oak stuff. What's this all about?
Have you learned nothing? You have to do it in oak.
There must have been a discount on oak. Everybody's doing these oaks.
Because they have to do
Hungarian oak, American oak,
Yes. This is a year I've been doing this.
Well, listen.
Everybody does it. It's oak. You have to do it in Scotland. Over here, we have a choice. We can do it in different woods. But oak, I despair. I've been telling you this for a year.
But Teeling is in Ireland.
Twice a week now. Now we do twice a week. We do the podcast now, and you still don't know about the whole oak. No. So as I say, this is a St. Patrick's Day. This is a tradition that they've got now, where they release something for St. Paddy's Day, and this is the one for 2021. So this says fresh coffee, taste of caramel, vanilla, and the finish is very spicy with clove and black pepper. So that's quite nice.
Lovely. That sounds lovely. I preferred the other one than when it said that there was some figs in it.
Oh,
I like figs.
If I'm honest, I'll be looking forward more to the red breast than I would be necessarily for the Teeling. That's just my personal the opinion on that. But I think the pot's still spice, and 10 years old. 10-year-old probably be quite good.
Lovely.
Now, remember we talked a while back about Tullamore doing promotions where they wanted people to change their name to O McCartney, or put an O in front of it, and they would donate some money and all this if you're in the States.
Yes.
Well, Tullamore Dew in California. Now, you have to be in California for this, but I thought it was quite funny. Tullamore Dew are offering a prize to one lucky winner that if your name's Jameson, if your surname is Jameson, and you change your name on all social media platforms to Tullamore. So say your name is Justin Jameson. If you change your name across all the thing to Justin Tullamore, you're in a chance of winning a prize, which is that you and two friends will go out to the Mojave Desert, or you and three friends, sorry, will go out to the Mojave Desert.
And only two will come back.
I'll be like Breaking Bad. No. And you'll go to a socially distant pub called the Everyone Bar. Now, it's only open to the people in California. But I personally thought it was pretty cool.
Who do we know in California that we can ring? I wonder if there's
David
anybody
Hasselhoff.
Well, know him, yeah, I know him well. What about? Is there anybody in California called Tullamore that's their real name? What do they do then?
They have to. Well, if they're called Tullamore, they could, I don't know, change it to Jameson and hope Irish distillers give them something. Your sounds, man.
No, it hasn't. No.
Oh, right. Then you were just moving your mouth.
No.
No. So yeah, if you're in California, I would say they wouldn't do a huge amount of checking. So if you just change it to Jimmy Tullamore, I think you might be in with a chance of winning the prize.
Okay. I don't know how he comes up with these marketing things, but
yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's pretty
I
cool.
don't know. I think they would. I think they wouldn't like that here. The competition people. If you tried to do that in the radio, I think you get told off.
Aye. But
what is it?
Yeah.
What does it cost to change your name by default here? A couple of £100, or is it 20 quid? I can't remember.
No, I think it's a couple of hundred. I think it's a couple of hundred. It's not terribly pricey anyway. I know that.
That's a weird one. A weird one indeed. So, do I have any more competitions? No.
No, what we have is another environmental story, because I like this. Anybody who knows me knows I like birds. Okay, it's a bit like that. I would sing that eel song, because I like do birds. But I can't do.
You'd be telling me you like Oberons next, and you're a twitcher from North America.
No. I like birds. I do. I record every day. Duckle vision. I go down to feed my wee ducks every day, and then I post it on Instagram, and I have a good, healthy following.
You do know that Sir Maurice O'Connell thought you were pulling his leg when you said you were way down to feed the ducks, and I actually had to tell him that you really were down to feed the ducks.
No, I go feed rain, hail, sleet or snow. I get down and feed my wee ducks. I find them therapeutic. Now, getting back to the news. This is Project Abernathy. Now, it's a collaboration between Famous Grouse, obviously the whiskey, and the RSPB, which is the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds. I keep wanting to say for the prevention of birds, but that's a totally different thing. No, it's for the protection of birds. Now, the brand is going to fund a 3-year project which aims to restore the natural landscape to 300 hectares near Abernathy, near Perth, in Scotland, obviously. Now, through the regeneration of the environment, the project hopes to increase the biodiversity of the 5,000 species in and around the area, including the black grouse. Now, back in 2008, Grouse, which is owned by Edrington, which is the big, owns Macallan and whatnot, funded a program that saw grouse numbers raised by 30% across Scotland. So a real success story, and I really think that these kind of things are really good projects. I like this kind of thing.
Well, I think you have to err on the side of caution when it comes to environmental things, and it's prudent to be environmentally friendly, I would say.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is anything that improves the environment and helps sort of natural recovery, and try and keep things pretty. Because here's the thing, I keep saying this. It's only industry that's ever going to fix the environmental problems. It really only is, because all you have to do is look at the litter on the street. People don't throw litter quite commonly. You see loads of it. So if they can't care about their environment on that small sort of micro level, some sort of existential idea about climate change and that kind of thing, they're just not going to do anything. So it has to be business that really has to do it. So anyway. Run over. We're not running.
Definitely does. Now, I don't like revisiting these things again. But we've another story to do before
we do have another story.
We do. I forgot about that.
Justin, calm down. Calm down.
It's nearly 17 minutes past, and Conal's waiting there.
We're plenty of time.
All right.
Calm down. There we go. You're running away with yourself. You keep jumping in front of me. Now, last story, Justin. It's the appointment of Deirdre O'Carroll to be in a blender down at Middleton for Irish distillers. She'll be working alongside Billy Layton to manage stock, marrying together spirits to continue the core range and innovate new ones, etc. Her background is in food science from the University of Cork, and she has a diploma in distilling from the Institute of Brewer and Distilling. She was a bond supervisor down there, so the filling and emptying of casks, etc., etc.
A lot of these people seem to be sort of not from the arty side of whiskey, but from the scientific side of whiskey now.
Well, even the arty side of it, that I keep talking about, the blending. I keep saying it's sort of the blend. You have to have a sort of scientific background to it, Justin's on a roll. He's always on a roll. If he could, he'd be on cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, it's either good cop or bad cop. I can't remember which one am I. I want to be Dennis Waterman to your John Thaw.
Well, as long as we can drive a Ford Capri.
I always fancied one of them.
I always fancied one.
Never ever had one.
Terry McCann had one in Minder, which I always thought was cool. Anyway, now Deirdre, Billy Layton. Again, mentioning Billy. Billy Layton said that Deirdre is a shining example of what success looks like. Now, I will just hold my hand up. When I did the Irish Whiskey Academy course, Deirdre was one of the tutors there, and she was.
What do you sign up?
Very well versed in what she was talking about. very friendly, quite funny, engaging and interesting, and inquisitive about what your background was. And she was really, really good. And also, she liked rabbits. Now, I told her that on Rathlin Island, they have golden hares on Rathlin Island.
Okay.
They have golden hairs on Rathlin Island, blue-eyed golden hairs. And she didn't believe me. So
Okay.
am I telling the truth or not, Justin?
I've actually done that interview with a guy from the Daily Telegraph about the March hares, which is a true thing, believe it or not. I have done that too. I think I did hair course in the same week. I won't tell you how many years ago. It was on a radio station that could be heard down at Conal's Way, mid FM, about 2003, 2004. It's probably on a podcast somewhere. If you Google my name, you'll find it. Yeah. Anyway,
it's always there.
Now, listen, we'll have to apologise. If you're real Irish or fake Irish, we have to apologise. Please look away now. Do not look at the screen.
No,
I mean this because we have to revisit this. Okay?
We have to revisit this because we've had plenty of discussion. Right, just before we go in, this is a real pint of Guinness. Okay?
Yeah.
This is what a real pint of Guinness looks like, folks. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on ahead. Show the photo again, Justin.
No, I don't want to.
Go on ahead. Go on.
All right. Now be prepared. Now, are you ready? That's a real pint of Guinness, and this is a fake pint of Guinness. Yes.
It's just pathetic.
We haven't made this up, by the way. No. People think we've made this up. This is a real picture.
This is on the North Texas Irish Festivals page. They're advising us on what to eat and drink for St. Patrick's Day. This is the pint of Guinness. Yeah, I know we did this last week, but it's worth revisiting because it's hilarious. Yeah,
I don't know. Oh. I know, but there you go. Right. So that is true. So if anybody knows them in Texas, I do apologize because they've all got guns. But Marty says that the Guinness looks nothing like Guinness. Yeah, actually, Sean McClanahan has a thing there. It actually looks like Pepsi.
It's a cola. Other colas are available other than Coke. It could be Pepsi, could be Virgin Cola, Panda Cola. But one thing it most certainly isn't is Guinness.
Yeah, well, I think Graham Horner has summed it up. Oh, Christ. And I'm going to say what we think of it. All right. I'm going to say what we think of it. There we go. That's what we think.
Yes, and shot Guinness. That's not shot.
Yeah, it's shot. It's shot. It says shot Guinness. Yeah. It does.
But like I said, in honor of our good friends over there, I'm going to have something a bit different tonight. I'm going to have a Texas bourbon. Okay.
Ooh, that looks lovely.
Yes, it is lovely. This is a Milliman Green bourbon. So I'm going to have one of these. Now I don't normally drink bourbon, but I thought, in order to show that not everything from Texas is a bit ropey, and because you keep saying everybody in Texas is armed and dangerous, and they're not.
Not too many guns, Justin. No. There you go. It needs virgin oak. There you go. Probably call it Paddy's Day as well. Nuts. Paddy's Day. Do they in the States? All right.
They do. You've heard them say this. St. Patty's Day. Don't know what that's all about.
And there's Mark saying he got Guinness poured in England like lager.
Yes, I got one in Portugal. I said, I'm not drinking that. He said, oh, well, you have to pay for it. I said, really, really don't, because it was literally just topped. I wasn't even topped up or anything.
It's no Smack Cola. You remember Smack Cola that they made in the things? You know,
I do. I remember. Was that not the one that had? They also had the blue bubble gum cola. You know the one.
I think they maybe did. Well, listen, I think it's about time we spoke to our guest because we've been keeping them waiting long enough.
Yeah. Just one wee quick thing before we go on. Irish Whiskey Auction started last night. So remember, we were talking about it last week. So Anthony was telling us there's a new whiskey auction. So if you want to go and check out, if you haven't ever used the whiskey auction, go and check it out because I think everybody was well impressed by his knowledge and stuff last week.
They were indeed. As a matter of fact, it's one of our biggest Instagram posts. I think it hit 240 likes on Instagram, or 249 likes on Instagram. So here we go. We're getting the 3-minute countdown. Here he is, the man himself.
Hello.
Conal, what did you think of that show tonight? Was it were we nice to people tonight?
You were very nice to people. You are about mixing up your cups and your cars, I think. Did John Thaw not drive a Granada? And it was Bodie and Doyle in the Capri.
I think you might be right.
The professionals in the Capri.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you see, to be honest, I was much more a minder man. I watched Terry McCann.
You're giving away your age now.
Listen, I only watch about 4 things on TV: Only Fools and Horses, Deadwood, Minder, and The Chase. That's about it. That's pretty much all I ever watch on TV. And I'm serious. I'm actually serious. Yeah.
Well, you've broke ground in the distillery then.
Yes, that happened next week after quite a long journey, but it's finally happened. We finally got the go-ahead after all your lovely Northern Irish red tape that you embroiled us in for 4.5 years.
Here, the red tape's only going to get worse, isn't it?
Yes, very much so, actually, yes. It's one of those things. If you'd have known what you were getting into and left your job and started a distillery, you'd be bust by now. But
yeah,
you just got to persevere with these things. But
now, give us a little bit on where the inspiration come from, or the story behind it, and how it came about.
Well, it was part of the Celtic Tiger or the Celtic Fall. So basically, this piece of land came up for sale, Scott's Farm, which is a place that I would have went fishing as a kid. Actually, it's got a really, if anyone's into trout fishing, it's got a great fishing place on it. And it had been bought by a developer in the boom for gazillions. And then he crashed and burned, and the banks took it over. And then we bought it off the banks for pennies in the pound. But then what do you do with it? It was zoned for 80 houses, but in a little tiny village in Garrison, it'd be lucky to get 8 people to come, never mind 80. So, there was no demand for the housing. So we need to find another use for it. And then we saw Joe down the road. I would say hi to Boatyard Distillery. If you had him in your show, I don't know. He was opening the Boatyard, and so oh, this is interesting. And then I jumped in a plane to Inverness and went around a few distilleries in Scotland, and I went to Forsyth's, the still makers. And I found the industry phenomenally open, and they gave me fantastic information of what was going on and everything else. And we kind of put together a business plan at that stage. Said, right, we're going to open a distillery. And that's when all the trouble started. So
I always think whenever people are putting together a business plan for a distillery, it makes 0 sense from day one. That's like, how long do you have to wait? It's a huge undertaking. I don't think people sometimes appreciate the investment that it takes to make whiskey.
No, it's phenomenal. I mean, even though this site was zoned, so it wasn't greenbelt land or virgin land or whatever else. So we still had to go through major issues. Well, one, environmental, because where it is, the water flows into Loch Melvin, which is an area of special scientific interest.
Beautiful place, Liz. Beautiful place.
It's very nice, yes. So we're not allowed to pollute the waters with our whiskey. So those guys went nuts, first of all, saying, "Oh, you're going to be releasing all kinds of stuff into our lake." So, no, we're not. Anyway, so we had to find solutions to all that. And then we had roads issue problems. We had a tiny little bridge at the bottom of the road that needed to be moved. And this took forever. But we've got there now. So we've broke ground, and buildings commenced. And by the end of May, we'll have the warehouse and the building. And we start with our blended product, which our sommelier John Donnelly has created for us, and then we will install the kit for the distillery and start on our single malt. Excellent.
Now, when you get obviously you're getting your stills from Forsyths, what all will you be making? Will you be just making whiskey, or what other range of products do you plan to make? Or
Well, whiskey, and we're also going to produce a hard seltzer, or a range of hard seltzers. So, and that's a name that we got from Coca-Cola. Thank you for them. They have innocent, and our hard seltzers are guilty. So we have a guilty range of hard seltzers, and we're going to tap our foot into that market. As you probably know, it's massive in the States currently.
It is.
It's starting to come here, but it's been slower. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Now, you told me that the ground that you're building this distillery on is a little bit special. Why is that?
Well, local folklore has it that this was the land of, well, it was the land of the Scott family, but that of one Angus Scott, who was quite an acclaimed poaching producer in the area in the 1700s. And the story goes he was caught by the local excise man. He did a runner, jumped on a ship in, I think it was Sligo, and sailed off to the States. And there he became a bourbon distilling millionaire.
Hence the bourbon.
Hence the bourbon.
No, there was a lot of people did this. You know, there's a lot of people left this part of Ireland and went across to the States, and they really were the sort of formation of the whole American whiskey industry. Really, they were the sort of the genesis of it all.
Very much so, and perhaps the most famous guy from Fermanagh to go to America around, well, that was about 1815, 1820, was Mr. Gamble. And what did Mr. Gamble produce?
I know. I'm going to tell you.
Who did he meet first of all? That'll give people a clue.
He met, I think it was Dr. Proctor, was it?
Yes, Dr. Proctor.
And they used the alum paste for toothpaste.
Yes,
and the original factory, I think, is still just outside Castle Blaney here as well.
Yeah. So yes, he lived near Monet outside Enniskillen. He was actually a Portora old boy, along with Oscar Wilde and the Duke of Westminster. And so he sailed off for America, and he created Procter and Gamble.
Yeah,
there you go. Do they own any alcohol brands, Procter and Gamble? Do they?
Not yet, but we're looking to sell them one in the future.
Oh yes. Absolutely. Now,
hello, Hargreaves Landau. Yeah, buy me, Procter and Gamble.
No, so the area has obviously the heritage coming to it. You have the scenic, Loch Melvin, and a bit. Anyone who's never been down the Fermanagh Lakes, they're just the most beautiful place. They really are.
Can I come down and have a go on that wee digger? It looks great fun.
Yes, you can. Well, there's a bigger digger there at the minute, so you can go on that as well.
No, trust me.
Choice of two.
Trust me, you don't want to let him near anything like that. I've seen him trying to put food on a plate, and that's a disaster.
But you're right in terms of the beauty. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. So the front of the distillery looks over Loch Melvin and the Leitrim Mountains. And then at the back of the distillery is Scott's Waterfall, which is quite nice as well. So it's in a really stunning location, which makes very good for a whiskey distillery, actually, and tourists and tours and that type of thing, which we'll be developing as time goes by.
Yeah, well, the area down there, in some ways, it's nowhere near as congested as somewhere like the Lake District in England, or even the North Coast in Antrim. So, I mean, it's perfect for people to come down and stay and have a holiday when we're allowed to go on holiday.
Yeah, it's like my brother actually lives in the Lake District, but it's like the Lake District without the people. So you've got the same scenery and lakes and everything else, but a tenth of the people, I would say. We
can actually show people what it looks like. I'll put it on screen here so as they can actually see what that looks like.
Yes.
Is that more or less the view from the
That is the view from the distillery, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, not beautiful. Wow. Not beautiful. Now, as you may have gathered, I like a good environmental story. Now, I believe that you're doing something environmental yourself.
We are, yes.
Tell us on.
But it's just funny, guys. I think you must have been reading my CV, because I don't know if you know, but my background before getting into whiskey was in the timber industry. So I saw those timber references before. And one thing I would point out is timber is is the most environmental product that you can get, because it regrows. So you cut it down, but you replant it and you get another crop. But in terms of environmentals with the distillery, yes. So we've planted a whole lot of native Irish trees. We've got oak, Scots pine, ash, willow, holly, blackthorn, actually, as well. We make some blackthorn casks, maybe. And that's to offset the carbon footprint of the distillery build. And then we're looking in the future, once we've secured planning for it, to put in a water wheel that will power the distillery as well, or part of it.
Right. This is the thing that I think is absolutely fantastic, because I actually had a gentleman on tour once, and he said to me, can you tell me where I get the bus to the Mool? And I went, what? What Mool? What Mool? And he was German. And I says, You mean the windmill at Ballyclopeland? And he says, no, the water wheel at Newton Ards. There's a water wheel at Newton Ards, but you must be one of the... Well, actually, I've been to somebody else as a water wheel with electricity. That Wretchen mill that does the linen.
Lisburn?
Yes, outside Lisburn. He gets electricity from that, Marty, doesn't he? I think he does. He does.
I don't know. I can't remember, mate. I can't remember.
I think he does, but that is an incredible feat. I mean, that's not going to be cheap, Conal, is it?
No, it's not going to be cheap, and obviously with various environmental issues to jump through, but with fish and things like that. But they found a system they reckon we can get. In fact, the previous owner of the site, Hammy Scott, he ran a sawmill on the site, driven by a water wheel in the 1940s, 1950s.
Well, there was a place up here at Gleno that was driven like that in my lifetime, in the last 20 years, before they moved to new premises. Yes, at a place called Gleno. That is fantastic. And there's a water.
Not only will it be environmentally friendly, it'll be beautiful to look at too. I see Mark Kerr has brought up that Kilbegan have a water wheel down there, but theirs doesn't actually produce anything. It's just for decoration. Really. Yeah. But no, it's lovely. Now, when are you said you're going to bring out a blended whiskey? What's that, and when can we expect that?
The blended whiskey we launched June, and that is a tribute to the ScottsIrish. So what we've created is a bit of peated malt, so you get the Scottish influence, the Irish, and then it's got a bit of corn in it, so we get the bourbon. So excellent. it's kind of the journey of Angus Scott and the ScottsIrish, from Scotland to Ireland to America.
I think the history of the ScottsIrish is really sort of starting to come back a little bit now, because people are doing their family tree. And sometimes they trace their family back to Ireland, and then they find out, well, I'm Scottish, Irish, and they think it means their grannies from Perth, and their granda came from Buckna in County Antrim. But then they find out, no, hang on, that's actually, there's a bit of a richer history to the whole thing,
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the journey they had, and they are really the people who built America. And as you said, they were very influential in the initial American distillation industry. Yeah,
and I think it's a bit of a sort of lost history, and I always like to try and promote it anytime I can. Now, one of the key things that you're going to be relying on, obviously, is the tourism aspect. You've mentioned that already. Now, what is your plans for that, in terms of, have you experiences lined up, or how are you thinking of getting that sort of?
Well, we're very well located, so we're only 5 miles down the road from the world famous Ballyc Pottery, and that is a very good tourist business already, particularly from the States and stuff. So we can tap into the kind of slipstream from that. We're not far from the old Wild Atlantic Way. So we've got that going for us as well, and then we're building a series of walks and tours on the site, and we hope to be putting in pods where you can come and stay on the site. And we combine that with a tour of the waterfall and the distillery.
Brilliant. I mean, it sounds absolutely ideal. Beautiful location. As I say, the fishing aspects and stuff of it as well. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. It really is. Now, are you planning on doing any the likes of potching or pot stills, or is it just going to be single malt?
No, it's just going to be single malt. I think we've researched potching, but I mean it's really funny because it's got such a reputation, but it hasn't really taken off as it should. I don't understand why. Given its connotations with kind of on the edge and lawlessness and history and the past, it's not something that's really ignited in the spirits world yet.
No, I don't think that's come yet, but I think it's got a potentiality that you could see it taking off in a way that I think whiskey sometimes it's a lot of competition and getting more and more competitive. And potching's a slightly different animal, and it's also a lot cheaper as well.
What's with these colours and flavours here? Ginger, lime, and strawberry, Conal.
Well, these are the hard seltzers. So, you've got an alcohol base. So you've got an APV of about between 4 and 6%, and then we're mixing it with so-called healthy stuff. So just as for you, so you can have one of your vitamin C drink, your 5 a day with the strawberry there in the morning,
right?
And then follow it off with the lime in the afternoon and the ginger and the ginseng to perk you up in the evening, and you're set for the day. Is
the concept for this a bit like the flavoured Buckfast that you get down Portadown, Lurgan, Craigavon way?
Yeah, just slightly more upmarket, but not a lot. But yes.
No, because Marty will tell you, I actually like cocktails, and lime and ginger is something that I would put in a drink. Vodka, ginger ale, lime, even whiskey, ginger and lime. I would do as well. And actually, so I think we were talking with somebody else from one of the distillers, and they said Club Orange, and it actually works fantastically well with a drop of whiskey. So I mean,
it works great with gin as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. That is good. I like that. I like those combinations.
Good.
Yeah, so this is the kind of it's so-called healthy mixes with your alcohol as well, and this is where you can be guilty.
You can be guilty and still get your 5 a day. One of your 5 a day. Still get liquid form.
Yeah. Now we've a couple of questions in tonight already. If you want to pose a question, type it in, hit send. Conal will be able to answer it for you. Linda Cox, a lady after my own heart, is saying, any chance of your product coming to Canada?
Yes, we're currently in negotiations with a US distributor who will be handling all of the Americas, so Canada, America, and South America. And we hope to finalize that deal by August. So with a bit of luck, 2022, we will be in Canada.
Wow, that's not too far.
And obviously, the Scots-Irish have a great, as well as America, a lot of them went to Canada as well.
Yeah.
So they have a great history in Canada.
Yeah, well, put it like this, my beloved Ballymena, where I'm from, that's where Timothy Eaton of Eaton's department stores. He came from Ballymena. That's where he was from. So anybody in Canada who knows of Eaton's, he came from my hometown. Which
and you used to be able to walk into an Eaton's department store, say you were from Ballymena, and you'd get a job instantly in Canada. Yeah.
And that's actually true. That is true, because he can buy...
Being a Ballymena man, you might get a 1% discount.
That's not enough for Ballymena men. Ballymena men. You said that the cocktail market. Whenever Justin says he likes a cocktail, he really likes cocktails. He likes the flamboyant cocktails. So, do you see an expansion of your range, or the hard seltzers? Are you aiming for that kind of lighter, more mixable style of whiskey as well? Is that kind of a carry on theme, or is it a more heavy whiskey you're going to go for? What style?
No, our whiskey style. I mean, the two products are somewhat separate. So the hard seltzers come in because we researched the market, and this is a major trend in the States, and we think it's going to be big trend here as well. The whiskey, we're going very much for that kind of a mixture between bourbon and Irish and Scotch. So it's lighter style because we're looking at a much younger drinker.
And the feminine market as well.
And the feminine market. Because what we think is, look, you guys will like your Ardbegs and whatever else, and we'll never change you. You might buy one bottle to try it and put it on the shelf, but you're going to go back to your trusted favorite. And most whiskey drinkers are like that. They found something they like, or older whiskey drinkers, and they tend to stick with it. So it's very difficult to get them to change. So if we can introduce the product to a younger market, we can grow that with them so that we become their first whiskey of choice.
Now, where you are, there's a bit of a regionality coming on for whiskey as well. A little bit further over into Donegal and that kind of. There's all these nice new distilleries, and they're all getting this for this reputation. I like the fact that you said there's a little bit of peat, because I think peated Irish whiskies work really well. Our friends down at the Silky, for example, a little bit of peat always goes well, So that's a nice thing.
That's coming in now. I think Brian at Great Northern, because he's been a Scotsman, has brought that in as such in terms of the peated stuff, and you're now seeing that introduced much more into Irish whiskey. But I suppose in the past, the old stills would have all of it peated because they would have been, fired by peat and whatever else. And for some reason, we've lost that in Ireland over time.
Yeah. Well, we have one coming up very shortly, and it's direct heat fire, isn't it, Marty?
Yeah, that's a direct heat fired still now, which is it's very rare these days because it doesn't make an awful lot of sense. Now, your stills that you're getting from Forsyths, are we going to be triple distilled, double distilled?
No, triple distilled.
Triple distilled.
Yeah.
And what style of still are you going for? Is it big, tall, long neck? What?
Well, it's the big pot still in this one neck. Yes.
Yes.
The traditional setup as such.
And are you going to be doing column still distillation as well? The grain?
Down the road, yes. So that would be stage 4. We're looking to put in column still.
And when do you expect to have the stills up and running?
So the still should be up and running by, I would think, December 2022. And we'll start to still our first batches then.
Brilliant.
We're getting some really intelligent marketing questions here from Adele McCaffrey. She's asked 3 good questions. How's it going with Brexit? Yes, we're all starving to death. It's really bad. We're starving to death. Send money. Buymeacoffee.com/Irish whiskey. Send money, that'll help. And she's also asking, have you got a brand proposition in place? I do like this. She's getting into the branding.
Well, our branding is, as it says on the tin, ScottsIrish. So that gives us a massive market to target.
Yeah.
And then when we look at the female market and the younger drinkers as well. So those are the segments that we'll be concentrating on. And that's going to be backed up with a series of online funny videos, kind of 1 minute slots.
I love this. So you're really hitting the awareness. You're really going for the sales leads. You're really going for the leadership of the brand. You're really going for the brand values. And you're seeking brand ambassadors, aren't you then, by the sound of it?
We are seeking brand ambassadors, yes. We are talking to 3 specific individuals at the minute about that role. And again, they're younger people, and hopefully the first of those should come to fruition.
We're losing the signal. I love it. Yes. Listen, we're getting more and more questions. We'll maybe run over tonight if you can stick with us, Conal, because we're coming up in the hour in 10 minutes time. We've got asked, Adele's asking about the global market. You've already said you've got distribution things in place in North America. So I imagine that's all sorted. But Graham Horner saying peated whiskey is making a comeback here, thankfully. And Trevor Watson, who I think is down your way in Fermanagh, is asking how large are the stills? What's the capacity? Because
well, basically, our initial capacity will be about 400,000 bottles per annum, and then we can expand from that point. But once we've sold 400,000 bottles, I'll be pretty happy.
I would say that would be a good start. If you get 400,000, that's a good start.
And the two of you guys can come down for a party at that point as well.
No problem at all.
Yes, we'll have a private plane. We're coming in, actually. Oh, no, that's next week. Let me see. Adele McCaffrey, she's asked, she must, maybe she's one of these. She's an industrial espionage agent or something like that, maybe. But she says, great, have you tested it with your target audiences? There you go.
Well, I test it every day.
Lovely stuff.
That's the best way.
I love it. I like these hard questions. Thanks for posing hard questions tonight, Adele. Target equal. Yes, well, I think we all know that Irish whiskey is in a renaissance, a revival period. And if trade deals come on with the likes of America and stick and India and stick, we won't be able to keep up with demand.
Yeah. We'll put it like this. Whenever I read out the statistic earlier on that Irish super premium Irish whiskey has grown by 8,500% in less than 20 years. I think it's safe to say that there's a renaissance on about it, you know.
Well, you guys, you'll know that at one point Irish whiskey was the dominant whiskey in the States.
Oh yeah,
yes, surely. We
you know the story of what happened, don't you?
Oh, there's lots of stories.
Yeah,
lots of stories.
So basically, Prohibition came along, and the Chicago mob sent a guy through Canada across to Ireland to do a deal to ship stuff into Canada, and then they'd bring it across the border. And he appeared at the two major distilleries in Ireland, and being God-fearing brethren, they said, "Oh, we can't do that. We can't deal with the mob." So the guy jumped in the boat, went to Scotland, and they said, "Sign here."
And they did.
There was a few other reasons for it as well. The big heavy peated ones. If you put a bottle of Lafroig into a cask of whiskey, it'll taste like Lafroig. And that was basically, they ended up doing that. And CVS and Walgreen, if you're ever in the States, that's where they made all their money.
Funny enough, we actually have a podcast in the can, and it's a bit spooky. Like you're both having tofu tonight and last night. We actually have a podcast in the can that touches on this about Dunville's distillery and why Dunville's missed out and wound up in the end. So that's actually quite spooky. That.
Oh yes, but there's a question in there. Has there been a whiskey distillery in Fermanagh before?
Oh yes, I mean, well, there were whiskey distilleries in every county in Ireland in the 1700s, and if you go way back, basically whiskey was brought to Ireland by the monks, and Lough Erne, which we're just beside, was a centre of monks. If anyone's been to Devonish Island, and
beautiful,
so they would have distilled there in the 1400s.
Well, there's always the rumor that St. Columbanus brought back distilling to Bangor. That was essentially, there's a legend that's where he brought it to, and then it sort of proliferated all around Ireland from there, and then went to Scotland. But I always like the story that monks used to be they only ate one meal per day, but they were allowed to drink as much as they wanted all day. So they were all drinking beer and whiskey and stuff all day, which probably is not the most healthy diet in the world, but it's maybe not the worst either, you know. They
picked it up on their travels in Europe, but it would have been a grape distillation there. But then when they came back here, they found they could make they didn't have any grapes, did they, or very few. So they used grains, and that's where the whiskey developed from. So the distillation of grain spirits.
Yeah.
So some people are getting into this. Jonathan McCulloch says, Conal, I hope you the best with this, mate. It's a really great market you're targeting. Ladies and younger drinkers, too many old lads' whiskies on the market. Well, they're counteracting that image, and everybody knows about ladies enjoying whiskey and younger people moving away from these trendy beers.
But it's the same as everything else. I know plenty of ladies who like their heavy Lafroigs and Ardbegs, and I know plenty of guys who love a good cocktail, such as yourself. Now, but it's that sort of bell curve distribution of people, who. I mean, gins came out. There were all these light, nice gins, and they were targeted mainly for female markets. But they ended up everybody enjoyed them, and it sort of went that kind of way. And I think whiskey's very similar. People like what they like, but it's that sort of youth market. People in your clubs and the old boy sitting in a bar knows what he wants to drink. The old guy that goes in of an afternoon, watches a bit of horse racing and has a couple of pints of Guinness and a couple of whiskies. You're not really going to be targeting.
You're never going to change him.
You're never going to change him. So it's getting the young people who to try and move them away from drinking some of the WKDs and this kind of stuff, which is just atrocious. But yeah,
we all started there at one point. But
my first drinking experience was Clan Dew. Now, if anybody knows what Clan Dew is, it was a lovely mixture of Scotch whiskey and white wine, or it was like paint stripper. So it was, But thankfully, we've moved on from that.
We've got another good question from Trevor Watson. What's your price points for these iterations that are coming out then?
Okay, so we're in the upper premium brackets, not super premium, but we're probably going to be retailing around $49.99.
Okay, in
the shops.
Which for Irish whiskey these days is fairly well priced. Some of them have become very expensive. Seamus Tobin, I see he's asking, was beer not around long before whiskey? It was. Beer's been around an awful lot longer than whiskey because beer was safer to drink than water, because it sterilizes through the fermentation process. So yeah, beer was around an awful lot longer than whiskey.
Now, somebody has said that I look like Friar Tuck. Michael Matthews says, hence Friar Tuck. And I can prove that I am one and the same as Friar Tuck. Here we go. Look at that there. Look, do I look like Friar Tuck? Yes, I do. Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we put you on a bottle?
You could put me on a bottle. My image would cost. Let me see. I would charge 10p a bottle.
Justin's image rates.
A deal could be done.
All I will say, Justin, is the idea of you going around preaching morality to people would be a very, very hard sell, man. A very hard sell.
Yes, I would be a bit like what was it? Richard Green was Robin Hood, and who was Friar Tuck? Can't remember. We're talking an awful lot about TV shows tonight.
Yeah.
Now, let me see. Adele McCaffrey's on. She's saying, unless you ask the ladies, you're embarrassing. I haven't embarrassed any ladies tonight, have I? Don't think I have. There you go. A fine blend of Scotch, whiskey and English wine.
Clan Dew. Mark Kerr knows what I'm talking about.
Clan Dew. Yeah.
It was horrific.
And there's a woman on saying, women do love whiskey, especially peated for me, along with potsheen. There you go.
Johnny loves her peated.
And then we go, a drop of bog with Adam's nectar, a drink ordered. What's that? Is that Adam's? What are you on about, Mark?
Adam's nectar's water. So what, a drop of the bog with Adam? I don't know.
So peat and water, yeah.
Peat and water. Peat and water. Mark's probably stole all the fish from Loch Melvin, by the way. Let me see. Sean McClellan's laughing at that picture. Connor Ryan's laughing at that picture of me as Friar Tuck. Great price then. Maybe we in Fermanagh will get a local discount. Sure, if you look out for deals, there's always deals and things in the supermarket. That could be painful, Justin. Me and the bottle, that is. Mark Diamond saying, guess the drink. James and Moira Doherty is saying, sorry to be late to the party, chaps. Listen, don't worry.
James, you're more than welcome anytime. You know that.
And go on YouTube, and you go on YouTube, Irish Whiskey Review. You can catch up to the party. Adele McCaffrey, yes, in the context of drinks preferences. No, Adele, I like cocktails and I like umbrellas in them. And as some people say it's a ladies' drink, it isn't. I like it.
No, of course you do.
There's Mark Diamond saying is Black Bush. Black Bush he's talking about. Black Bush he's talking about.
Right.
There we go.
Yes.
So,
I think we will head on. Conal, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, my friend.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure being on, and hopefully you can come down and do a live show once things lift.
Once things open up and we're allowed freedom again,
on the wonderful shores of Loch Melvin, and we can throw in some fish as well. So
I mentioned to get my live camera out. I got this lovely live camera just before lockdown, and I've been itching to use it. We're looking for victims to film. Yeah. There you go. It's the latest NDI state-of-the-art live streaming camera. We'll eventually get round to that, Conal. Thanks a lot for coming on the show tonight. Stay there for us, okay?
Okay, thank you. Now, guys, remember, we are doing a tasting next week, and there will be the winners of the samples have been notified, and they should be heading out next week, and they should be with you in time for the tasting next week. So,
there we go. There's Adele. We'll give Adele the last word. She thinks we're humiliating women. We definitely are not.
No, well, as I've said, there's lots of women love peated whiskies, good heavy peated whiskies, and poaching, as Julie Mason has said. And Justin likes his cocktails with his sparklers and his umbrellas and all of that kind of stuff. So it's people, horses for courses. Everybody likes what they like, and good on them.
Good night. Catch you again. Don't forget to pick up the podcast on